And tonight we feature the working princess, that princess that has decided to work with communities. She has devoted an entire year to work with different communities, different Rotary clubs, to make sure there is magic in Rotary. Nkutu as District Governor for 9213. Tonight we profile her. Come along with me as we get to know who our District Governor is. Welcome to the Rotary Moment Show.
So my typical day starts at 7 a.m. with an online meeting. So there's always a meeting about one thing or the other in our district. And so that's how I start my day. And after the online meeting, the next thing I do is my phone. Okay. And on my phone, I want to know what's happening around me and what's happening around the world. So I'll first go through my WhatsApp very quickly because I'm on several WhatsApp groups. So I'll look through the Secretariat, I'll look through the PIME, I'll look through the district, and then all the other WhatsApps very quickly to get a feel of what's happening that day. And sometimes there are also WhatsApp waiting for my responses. So that can take an hour or even more or two. And then because I like to know what's happening as well around me, then I'll go to X. Then I will also go through X, find out what's happening globally and locally. And so if I don't have a meeting outside home, most times I will be doing all this in my bed. And so I will probably get out of bed closer to 10:30, even though I woke up early at 7. And sometimes I may even have had another meeting in between, you know. So that's what my day looks like. And when I then eventually get up, it's often to prepare to get out for a meeting. So get dressed and then read. Sometimes I have notes to prepare for the meeting that I'm going for. If it's a club visit, I have reports or something like that. And then I'll leave. You know, I'll have breakfast, which is really brunch for me these days because I don't really like have lunch. So it's a brunch. And then I'll leave the house at maybe 2, depending if I have a project visit. And then I'll go for that, and I'll be at that, and then club visit, and come back again. On average, 10 o'clock is when I'm back. So that's how my day goes.
For somebody who starts her day at 7, these are some of the beautiful gifts she gets to get when she visits. And you are indeed a queen, starting at 7 to 10. And looking at different people in Rotary. I think that's a wonderful job. Governor Anne, behind you is a very beautiful picture of you looking 22.
I probably was.
You were 22. Oh, you looked so lovely.
Yeah.
And 2 beautiful babies. Can you tell us about those 2?
Okay. So in the short, those are my kids.
Yeah.
It's actually funny to call them kids because they're young adults now.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes when I call them kids, I'm like, they kind of roll their eyes and say,
like
what was she talking about?
Yeah.
But those are my children, and I have two, a girl and a boy, and they're both now young adults now, by the way.
Perfect family.
Yeah.
Boy and a girl.
So Natasha is the older one, and Calvin follows Natasha. They have a gap of about 2 years, slightly over 2 years is what separates them. And currently Natasha is working.
Working?
Yes, she is.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Are those the babies I saw at the district conference? I thought they
Oh,
were...
no, they're working now.
Oh, my God.
Natasha is working. She's working as, communication, marketing person with Old Mutual.
Okay.
Calvin just completed his law degree. So they're big. They're adults.
Oh, my God, yes.
They're adults. And in a way, I think the timing couldn't be better. This role takes a lot of your time.
Yeah.
It takes you away from your family because most of the time you're doing nothing else but Rotary.
Family of Rotary, do you hear us?
And so I do sympathize with people who have younger children who really require of their time to be there. I mean, I'm not saying mine don't need my time, but they're in that phase in their life when they have their own plans and spend their days, each of them has their own independent plans. And I think that's taken the stress off me, worrying about them, worrying about not being at home when I should be at home because everyone's out there doing their thing.
Are your children in Rotary?
One of them is actually, my son is a Rotaractor with the Rotaract Club of Kampala and Nalia.
Ah, okay.
Not as active as I'd like him to be because, being at school over the last few years has really taken his time. So he wasn't regular in the meetings and things like that. But at least one of them is in Rotaract.
Well, at least you have one family member.
Yes, yes. And the other feels that two of us is enough for the whole family.
I can imagine. My question still about the children goes to their comprehension of the value this position has brought to the family. As it may, you're the third most important human being in this country. Apart from the President of Uganda and the Prime Minister of Uganda, you are the third. Statistically,
I'm not sure about that.
Well, if you go to X, those are statistics on X. You are one of the third talked about people. When it comes to Rotary, we're the third talked about non-political organization in this country. And so when they talk about Rotary in Uganda, they're talking about our governor. And so do they recognize the position you hold and the importance of what you have to do?
I guess yes and no. You know what it's like when somebody's your parent, perhaps that's the lens through which you see them. You're just like, yeah, that's my mom, that's my mom. And I think any importance that they attach comes mostly from what other people say. Because they always tell me their friends are always sharing flyers saying, oh, there's your mom, there's your mom. Or something on TV, oh, I saw your mom, I saw your mom. So they're like, all right, yeah, that's our mom doing her thing. But I think in their eyes, I just remain their mother, who also happens to be the district governor.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Governor Anne, and this is the final one, does this come from the experience that you, as the princess, already are accustomed to the public eye and understanding how the public is supposed to treat family? Does this come from the understanding that you were raised this way, and so you've raised the children to understand that public service, community service is part of the things that we have to do,
Perhaps not, but I think both my parents have been, you know, when they're still in their active life, they're both working. So having parents who work and go out and do all sorts of things has been something I've grown up with. My dad in particular is always out there, even at his advanced age. He is still out there. So I have grown up with nothing else to look at but just the understanding that you have to be out there working. And in the case of my children, I think they're really accustomed to me being on the go all the time. From an early age, when they were very, very young, they have seen me always out working. I've been a consultant for over 20 years. And the kind of work that I do has always necessitated travel. And so for my kids growing up, it's hard to imagine a time when I wasn't traveling. You know, at least once a month, I had to be away for some days. So they have grown up with knowing that their mom...
What happened to the plane?
That's her life. She's always on the go. She's always going somewhere. She's always doing something. And that was even before I joined Rotary. And then when I joined Rotary as well, there's always something to go. So what I used to do when they were still much younger was that if I'm going out for a project, if I'm going out for an activity, particularly at the weekend, I would take them along so that, you know, they get to know what I'm doing, get to see the people I interact with. So that, in a way, exposed them to the kind of work that we do in Rotary.
Wonderful. What is that message you want for Natasha and Calvin for this year?
So for my children this year, I recognize that, you know, we've traded off a lot of family time. We actually haven't had as much time together as perhaps we would have wished to. But it's also important to know that even where you have your own family and who always remain the most important, that our hearts are big enough to have room for other people, and that we must share of ourselves. We must give of our time to other people, particularly to the people who are less privileged. And in this year, I have come across so many people like that. And there's been a certain fulfillment in being able to contribute to improving the quality of lives for those people. Interacting with so many people has also showed me just how privileged the rest of us are. And when you're as privileged as we are, it's always important to try and lift other people up. And that is what I have spent a lot of time this year, just trying to encourage and work with clubs to lift other people up. Because I believe that at the end of the day, we are all as well as everybody else around us. And it's important that we bring other people up.
So, Governor, out of all these, which ones are accounted to Rotary?
This Egypt.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Egypt is Rotary. Taj Mahal, India.
Rotary.
That was Rotary.
Yeah.
Hamburg is Rotary.
Yeah.
Singapore is Rotary.
Where is this one
and
from?
There are a few others. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
A few others. Kilimanjaro is Rotary.
Ah, okay.
So there are quite a few that...
Addis Ababa?
No, Addis Ababa must have been something else.
Something else.
Yeah, something else.
Okay.
But yeah, and I think I had Chicago somewhere. I had Florida somewhere. I don't know where they're.
This is
but
Rotary,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So a few of these are Rotary.
So, Governor, you would you attribute most of the monuments or the souvenirs here to Rotary because of expansion of education on Rotary, or Was it because you had to attend a visit or two? I'm actually looking at a port right now and my head is going, wow, the things that we get in Rotary. Is that part of visibility, education? What is the purpose of some of these visits that you go for?
Okay, so some of these, not all of them, but some of them I can attribute to my Rotary trips. And it's all been in the pursuit of service, but also some of the benefits of Rotary, of which are travel. So, for example, these from Egypt was during a peace conference that was in Egypt sometime last year. Singapore, that was a convention, a Rotary convention. Hamburg was a Rotary convention. Taj Mahal, India, that was a district training a couple of years, actually about 5-6 years ago. And so it's been a mix. Some of them have, and there are a few that are not here. So I've traveled a bit on Rotary for trainings. I have traveled for conferences, where there's been a lot of networking, and as well as, you know, one could almost consider it leisure. But most of the time, there's been a purpose why I have been out. Recently, I was in Nairobi for the Inter-District Summit, which was a way of enhancing collaboration around the 3 districts, but also learning and sharing good practices from each other on how we can support and strengthen clubs, but most of all, how we can increase our impact to society.
Governor, before we move, I want to go back again on the networking, and which is something that many Rotarians never, I think, we need to attach more importance to. We are in Rotary because we are leaders in certain segments, and because we influence certain decisions in the different fields of work that we do. And hence, we get to meet different people in the network of Rotary who would definitely improve our livelihood. Rotary in business has grown tremendously to a huge size as a fellowship, I think, in your year as district governor. Is there something that you'd like to talk about in that angle, in terms of the networking, and why it is very important for Rotarians to actually, for example, starting tomorrow, to come for this district conference where you are handing over this chain? But what... one, the networking. Why should we go for these district conferences or these different meetups for Rotary? What can it do for our businesses?
So one of the things that we have emphasized a lot in this Rotary year was that as much as we come into Rotary to do service, it is important that we remember that it is also an membership organization. Everything that we do in Rotary depends on our members. And our members have to see and also derive some value from being in Rotary. So for a long time, we talk about networking, we talk about friendship, we talk about fun, we talk about all sorts of things in Rotary. But we do not emphasize them enough. And so a couple of years ago, a study was conducted to find out why people, stay, or, what increases retention in Rotary. And it's surprising that the study found that the number one thing that kept people in Rotary was fun. Yes. That a lot of people who are in there are there because of the fun. And so, and I don't think it is fun in a frivolous way, but it is fun in a way that promotes well-being. So I don't want people to think about it as just fun for the sake of it, but as part of wellness, as part of promoting, enhancing well-being, mental health, and all those sorts of things. Because all of us as Rotarians, wherever we are, we're engaged in something serious, gainful, and all that. And so when you come to a club, a Rotary club, you come in with a lot of stress and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you want to be in a place that is fun, that is lively, that is energizing.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we want people to see the benefits of the networks in Rotary. And that is why we're promoting all these initiatives that bring people together.
Yeah.
All this is to increase our value proposition as Rotary to people. Because many times people come into Rotary and we've had people asking, what is in it for me? And sometimes that question is almost like taboo, like, how dare you ask that? What is in it for me? Aren't we here for service? We know that we're here for service. But at the end of the day, everybody joins Rotary for something. And that is what we continuously need to look for and say, all right, we're doing service, but even as we're doing service as a person, you're benefiting in this way. And that's why we're encouraging all these various fellowships. Like Rotarians means business, where Rotarians do business with each other. And for some people, that may be the glue that keeps them in Rotary. And obviously, from whatever the proceeds that they derive from that business, we know that some of it will come back into Rotary, that it will be put into the Rotary Foundation, and that is how it will support the projects and the service that we're doing. So in a way, you know, it's sort of cyclic. Yeah.
Have you ever wondered the makings of a governor? What happens when Rotarians or district governors sit in a room and they receive these nominations coming from the Rotary clubs of who the governor should be? Have you ever wondered how they select these people? Now, a few years ago they selected Nkutu to become district governor, but tonight she will tell us how she has prepared to become district governor. Did she know she was going to become district governor? What are those things that she did that you as a Rotarian who is interested in becoming district governor might want to do? Maybe you might be on the path of being a district governor. But from what I've learned is that she was just a normal Rotarian who thought women in leadership should take the mantle. And at whatever percentage you think you are, you can still become a leader in Rotary. And today, we have Nkutu as district governor. Rotary is such an amazing place to be. And when it's a woman leader, well, we know she comes along with motherhood. It's just a natural thing. Well, Governor Anne, I want to take you into your experience of Rotary. 2010, you're not a Rotarian.
No.
Why? Rotary in 2011, why suddenly say, you know, I want to join this very important fraternity of leaders? Why did you want to join Rotary?
Okay, maybe perhaps I could start with why I had not joined Rotary up to that point. My father was a Rotarian. But the time when my father was an active Rotarian was the time when Rotary was still a men-only organization.
Yes. Yeah.
So for a long time in my head, Rotary was a men-only organization.
Yes, yeah.
When it eventually changed, I had a friend of mine who was a Rotarian. And she tried for the longest time. She actually tried for 10 years.
Wow.
To get me into Rotary. And she was a member of the Rotary Club of Kampala. And so she'd invite me, but even at that time, it was very male-dominated.
Yes. Especially Kampala.
Yeah, the Rotary Club of Kampala was also very full of lawyers and that sort of thing, who can sometimes be a little intimidating. So when I'd get there, I didn't quite feel that I fitted. I was much younger then, and the club also had people, some of whom I was calling uncle. So you know, and to greet them, I would have to curtsy. And so I didn't feel that it was a place for me. So I'd only go for the home hospitalities and never thinking that I could join. What changed? In 2011, the same club, the Rotary Club of Kampala, started another club, which is now the club where I'm a member, Kampala and Alia. And the meeting place was like less than 1 kilometer away from my house.
Okay.
It's actually a stone's throw right there at Sky Hotel.
Okay.
So I had no excuse to say it's far, I'm busy, I'm that, because it was within walking distance from my house. But the other thing that really made me go to Rotary, there were two other reasons apart from the proximity. One of them was that there was a lady, I was very active in women's organizations.
Okay.
And there's a time we were trying to raise money and we were stuck because we didn't have money. We were planning a conference and there was no money, there's no donor. And so Dr. Tadria, who's a member of the Rotary Club of Gaba, made a comment and said, we need to become like Rotary. And people asked, so what does Rotary do differently? Okay. She said, Rotary fund their own organizations. They fund their own activities. So instead of being here and saying, oh, we can't have the conference because we don't have a funder, because in Rotary, everyone pays from their ticket. For their ticket, for their accommodation, for everything. And they have their own foundation where they get money to do service. So that made me now a little more curious about Rotary. Like, if Dr. Tadria, because she's someone we regard very highly, I said, if Dr. Tadria thinks Rotary is a good thing, there must be something good in it.
In Rotary.
The second thing was, at that time, there was a friend of mine with whom we used to hang out a lot. We used to work in the same office. At the same time, our social life was sort of like, we did a lot of things together.
Okay.
And she relocated and moved to the US. And so I felt a little bit of a gap because of her absence. And I realized that perhaps it was time for me to expand my social network.
Make more friends.
And make new friends. And so I was like, perhaps this is also an opportunity to go into a club where I know nobody and get to know new people.
Yeah.
So those were the two factors, or shall I say three factors: proximity, what Dr. Tadria said about the Rotary Foundation, and the need to expand my network.
Well, thank you very much, friend who moved to the overseas. Thank you
She's
very
now
much.
Deceased.
Oh, may her soul rest in peace.
Amen.
Dr. Tadria, that comment gave us a governor today. And thank God for where your house is positioned.
Yeah.
That you finally joined Rotary. But you've said something we wanted. We wanted. Who was we? Who are those people you were with that you needed to get financing?
In the women's organizations, it was donors.
Okay.
Just like all NGOs depend on international donors.
Yes.
So likewise, for the women's activities, the projects, in addition to the projects, but the convenings and all that, most of them, and I think this is not just the women, but all NGOs typically, that all their convenings often are dependent on donors, or either international or local, but on somebody else funding. The difference with Rotary is that the members themselves fund.
Yeah. Now I'm going to throw a curveball to the governor. Governor, are you a feminist?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, I am.
Nice to meet one that truly accepts that she is.
Yes, I am.
Like I introduced the governor, she has led very many women organizations. She's a woman activist, believes in the woman, and we are glad that she is a woman leading an organization that has 70% men. But we are glad that she is the governor. Governor, 2011, you joined Rotary. Then what?
When I joined Rotary as a charter member, initially, when you come into a club, nobody knows each other.
Yes.
Rotary is still a new thing, the routine, the rituals. Initially, I wasn't actually sure that I was going to last. I really wasn't sure that I was going to last.
Yes.
You know, sometimes the weekly meetings felt like a drag.
Yeah.
But what kept me going is that quickly we had to sort of form some sort of leadership structure.
Yes.
And we had to divide responsibilities. And so I found myself in club administration.
Yes.
Which involved organizing the meetings, making sure everything is setting up, making sure you have visitors, guest speakers and all that. So when I got into the leadership now, the option of leaving now became even more remote, because I'm like, now we are the ones who are leading this thing. So
who is going to take over if I leave?
How do you leave? So I think putting me, and I think it's a good thing, getting new members actively involved in a club is very important to retention.
Wonderful.
Because they become part of it. Yeah, they feel like they're now a part of it.
Speaking about membership, and I want to, for the Rotarian that is watching now, who is in a club that has 120 members, and for a Rotarian that is planning on starting a new club, and for that Rotary club that believes they should have more Rotary clubs, I want you to first speak on that membership aspect. The responsibility to the new members, but the education of the new members. Where is the balance? How do we manage that? As a new member of the Rotary Club of Kampala, Nalia, how did you manage that? How did the Rotary Club of Kampala make sure that you had enough education to work as a club admin, but then you were also able to manage yourselves as leaders in that club to run it yourselves?
I think it's a two-way thing. You know, first of all, as people who come into Rotary, we come in as leaders, and the assumption is we already know something.
Yes.
Most of us are in organizations of one form or the other, and so we're already bringing something to the table.
Yes.
What a sponsor club does is to give you some intro, some, informative sessions on perhaps what makes Rotary different from other organizations, what its objectives are, what its mission are, what its values are, how meetings typically are organized, things like that, and what your responsibilities and obligations as a member are. But after that, it takes the initiative of the members themselves to determine how their club will be. So for us at that time, and this is not all of us, but a number of us in the club, we were proactive. We were proactive, and we would go out to visit other clubs, see how things are running.
Yes.
Because although we'd been given some sessions, they were not sufficient, And so we had to keep going out there and say, how are they doing this? How are they doing this? And then coming back and tweaking it a little. And that is how we learned.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that is how you learn.
Now, for me, that goes back to, I've had Rotarians whose new clubs have not worked very well, and they've gone back to Mother Club. Oh, Mother Club did not actually do a good job when they were mentoring. But from what you're telling me, there was an introductory.
There was.
You were told what it's supposed to be. But the most important thing of ensuring the stability and growth of that club is about the inaugural understanding of the new members in the club. Do they love Rotary enough to stay and hold it dear to learn more in the club? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is that when you come in as a new member, it's important that you're also proactive. Okay. You'll be given something, but just like anything, like any student, even in a school, a teacher will give you some basics. And it is up to you to do more research and determine for yourself. But one of the things that I think is very important, and I even feel that even in my days as a charter member, that we didn't do enough of it. Every time you bring a new group of people together, it is important for that group to spend more time bonding. For members to know who is who. because it's only when people get to know each other a little bit, get an understanding of who, you know, the other person is, what they're capable of, what their strengths are, what their likes are. That is when a club will be able to move up. But in many clubs, people remain strangers for a very long time. Yes, they know each other's names, and that's as far as it goes. And so if somebody is not extremely outgoing, the likelihood of dropping off is very high when that opportunity for bonding with fellow members is lost, is missed.
Wonderful. I wish I would continue in membership growth, but I want to move on to something that I have read about you that is quite profound. Peace. You have taken a liking, I could call it that, to the peace, peace as an avenue of service, peace as you've also been very instrumental in the Peace Fellow program. Can we talk about that? How did your growth from when you joined the club to when you became district chair, and I want to stop there for now, build your peace knowledge, and how, because it's one of those aspects of Rotary that very many Rotarians do not grasp easily. How do we manage projects in peace? They will understand TRF, they will understand all these other, but peace, which you've managed to grasp very well.
Okay, so truth be told, I did not get into this whole peace area of focus intentionally. I got into it accidentally as well. I happened to be the country chair at the time when the Makerere University and a few other universities were invited to bid for hosting of the Rotary Peace Center. And so as a country chair at that time, it was my duty to sort of rally the troops, organize the meetings, engage the stakeholders so that they would be able to put up a bid. And so I was also learning as we were going, reading more about what this is, what having a peace center is about. Of course, we had a few other people like RID and Katongole, who were more conversant with what having a Rotary Peace Center would mean to us as a country. And so he was very involved at that level. But in operational, I think I was more involved in operationalizing things and just making sure that we came up with a formidable bid, not just the university, because for the university, it was one thing for them to show their competencies, to be able to come up with a curriculum, to be able to host guests, the Peace Fellows, to be able to have the academic staff and all that. But the other thing was to show that having us as the Rotarians and Rotary in Uganda was ready to host and to show the added value of that. And that is where I put a lot of energy. And so I was involved with the team. There were a few governors at that point. I was only a country chair. And we were able, I think, to argue convincingly.
You did.
That Uganda could actually host the Peace Center and would do a good job about it.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, Uganda has the only Peace Center in Africa. And she, the governor, was one of the most instrumental Rotarians who made sure that we have this Peace Center. And I think for me, that's the time I got to know you.
So after we won the bid, now, remember at that time we were talking, saying we can do this and we can do this and we can do this. Now we have the bid.
To implement.
So implementing, executing and you know, translating the vision and what we'd communicated into reality now came back to us. And so I was appointed as the first area host coordinator for the Peace Center. And that made it, you know, imperative upon me to ensure that we delivered what we promised. And you know, in that position, you're sort of the link between Rotary and the university as well as, you know, the Peace Fellows, as well as the Rotarians in the country. And so you have to coordinate all that and just make sure that this is what we promised and this is what we must deliver. And so that's when I really, really dug in. Of course, that's also part of the advisory committee on which a few other Rotarians sit. You know, we had RIDN, Emmanuel, PDG, Sebaru, Fred Masade, and myself on that advisory committee. So we worked very closely together, but as a host area coordinator, so I think I worked a little bit more with the center and the Peace Fellows and Rotary International, and that's when I really, really got to understand what this area of focus is about.
For peace, I still have fogginess.
And this is what I can tell you. A lot of people have always, when they think of peace or the absence of peace, they think about conflict.
Yes.
But under the Rotary project, let's say the Peace Center, we have understood that peace is more than just conflict. And there is a philosophy that was pioneered, if I can say, by the Institute of Economics and Peace. And they came up with what they call a framework called the 7 pillars
of peace.
And so those pillars show you that these are the underpinnings of peace, that without these things, there's really no peace. And when you look at those 7 pillars, they include things like access to services, basic services.
Yes.
Like if you don't have access to health, can you say you have peace? If you don't have water, can you have peace?
No.
If you don't have a job, can you have peace?
Yeah.
So it broadened our understanding of what peace is. And when you look at those areas, then you realize that everything that we do in Rotary is actually promoting peace. When you look at our 7 areas of focus, we are promoting peace.
I hope you're learning a thing or two. It's something that, for me, I've always asked myself, what is peace? Does it mean domestic violence? Does that bring peace?
That's part of it.
That's part of it. But you've just given one of those, lack of access to water. Lack of peace. So a lot of that, and I think you're the queen mother of peace when it comes to Rotary, because you demystified a lot of things that we did not understand at that time. And I think you got to speak, and I hope people will work with you more when it comes to peace comprehension in terms of project implementation. When you look at the different RI, there are 2 grants that are not fully utilized. The Peace grant is not fully utilized, and the PR grant. Those are the 2, when you research at the RI level or TRF level, the grants that are not fully utilized. So I hope Rotary clubs can come back to you on working with you on, let's go to district PR. What does that mean? And the reason why I will ask this one question, what does it mean to serve as the mouthpiece of the district before you become district governor?
Okay. I must say that what the public image really docket is all about is mostly about communicating what Rotary does. And so when you're the public image chair, that is your role, to ensure that you are promoting Rotary's image out there by showing what it is that Rotary does. And so when as a PI chair, I think that was one of the things that we really tried to do. Of course, working with clubs as much as we could, get information, use every opportunity that we have about, you know, Rotary and what we do. Interestingly enough, when I was going to become the PI chair, we had 2 main projects that we were thinking of focusing on. At that time, Ken Mugisha was governor. So we're planning to focus a lot on Mission Green, the project, tree planting, which we did a lot of. But the other, at that time, we had the Rotary International President-elect, Samowori. And he was going to become, was going to take up the position as Rotary International President-elect. And so those were our two things. And we're saying now we're going to do a build-up for him becoming the RI president, and this is what we're going to focus on. And within the first month of July, the PI we were doing was around his funeral. So all our plans that we had
plummeted.
Exactly. So we had the funeral. And so what did we do? We're like, okay, in everything, they say there's no such thing as bad PR. So we're like, even if we're mourning Samowori, because it was shocking for all of us, we're like, let's use the publicity that his death has generated to showcase what Rotary does. And I think we did to an extent.
Yes, you did.
More people became curious about Rotary, not just by what we were saying, but I think by who this man was, what it had meant for this country to have someone like that, how Rotarians rallied around it, around his death. For many people, they were like, oh, wow. So this is how Rotary is. So in that way, we got many people attracted to join Rotary. Yeah,
wonderful. I know that we have a lot. I could take her for the whole night. But did you know?
Did I know?
Did you know that you'd be sitting here today? That you would be the magic of Rotary governor?
No, I never thought about that. I never
9-2-1-3.
thought about that, actually. I never thought about it. Because when I came into Rotary, like I said, it was about networking. It was about doing this and that. And every position that I did not do it because I was hoping for something better. I was like, this is a task I've been given, so let me do it as best as I can. I remember at some point someone asked me whether I wanted to be governor, and I said, hell no, I don't think I can. I said, hell no, I don't think I can manage it. I don't think I can manage it because, being a governor requires a lot of time.
Yes.
It also requires resources and things like that, and I didn't think I had any of the two. And I certainly didn't think I had everything that it takes to be a governor. What changed my mind? As you know, my club, the Rotary Club of Kampala Nalia, we have our signature event, the Women in Rotary. And for many years, I was involved in that. Each time we're organizing, we would have to write a concept paper to be able to, something would share with partners, with guest speakers and all that, so that, we are able to have those talking points.
Yes.
And the way we would get those talking points was mostly from the theme, the International Women's Theme. And that's how we would then find our own who should be speaking to us.
Yes.
And so one year I was writing about leadership and why it was important to have more women in leadership. And I did a bit of a research. And when I did the research, the findings were that there are many factors why we have fewer women in leadership. But one of the factors was actually attributed to women themselves. And I can't remember who was the author of that, but they said, look, if there is a position of leadership that's advertised, a man will look at the qualities that are being asked, and if he has 55%,
He'll
apply for a job.
Yes.
A woman will look at the qualities and she'll go over them and go over them and go over them and go over them. And unless she has 99.9% of what they're asking, she'll not apply for a job. And so they said women, they are averse to risk. They fear, there's that whole lack of confidence that, and I think it's that desire to be perfect and think we must be perfect.
Yes.
So when I read that, I said, oh, is that it? And I gained the courage. I said, okay, if men can take this at 55%, then when the position for governorship came, I said, okay, maybe I probably have 60, 70%. I'll go for it. Here
and
we are today.
She sits on the board of very many women empowerment groups and organizations. She is an M&E specialist, and she has done PR from the university in Cape Town in South Africa. She has been around Rotary since 2011. She has served as a district, as the country chair. And one of the things that we might remember about Nkutu was demystifying what peace was, because very many of us did not understand what peace meant at that time. She's one of those district governors that has embraced oneism. She has made sure that implementation is tested to the T. She has implemented one of the most effective projects in this country or in this Rotary district, and that's the 25 by 25. And I assure you, she has hit her target. She is above the $700,000 target with 25 by 25, meaning that you as a Rotarian just needs to give $25 in whichever capacity you are in your club. She has managed to have over 600 new Rotarians join Rotary in this year. And she has seen to so many of the implementations, like you will hear in this segment. Let us hear who Nkutu is, what she is, what she has done, and how she has managed to complete her year.
Prior to joining Rotary, I was very active with women's organizations, and I remain very passionate about women's empowerment. It is something that I think comes through in every aspect of my life, and even in Rotary, I believe that I'm using this platform as a woman leader to also shine a light on what women can do. But Rotary has given me an opportunity to bring together the things that are important to me and be able to act on them. So as a governor, you find that you're in a position of influence. You can influence direction, you can solicit donations, you can seek partnerships to be able to do the things that you're passionate about. And women's empowerment is one of those things, but the other has been the environment. I love trees. I feel hurt when I see somebody has cut down a tree. And so in this year as governor, I have also really encouraged all Rotary clubs wherever they are in the country to engage actively in planting trees. And our tree planting has not just been us as the Rotarians, but the emphasis has been to nurture environment stewards, and that's why we have chosen to focus on tree planting in primary schools so that the children there get to appreciate the importance of conserving the environment from an early age. But other than that, there are other things that I love doing. I love writing. I guess I love talking. And being a governor gives you more opportunities than you need to talk. So you're able to speak your thoughts, you're able to share your thoughts with other people. I don't get as much time to write now as I previously did, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that. But these are some of the things that I enjoy doing.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking that leap of faith and leading us. You've done a very, very beautiful job. Mm-hmm. You've given us magic. Mm-hmm. We've seen magic.
Thank you.
I want to go into your year as governor. Mm-hmm. What have been the highlights of your year? what is that one thing, we can start with that, that you will say, I will forever remember 2024, 2025, the magic of Rotary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'll forever remember in this year, and I don't know whether it came from the theme itself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes a theme gives you the focus. It helps you to sort of come up with, I don't know if it's the persona or something, but one of the things that I will never forget are my presidents.
Wow.
The magical presidents. I think all of them, or at least most of them, embraced the theme wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And took it upon themselves that in each and every one of them would endeavor to create magic in their space.
Yeah.
And so from, you know, during the club visits, you would find that wherever you go, there was something that this president was trying to do that was, you know, that would elevate the club. You know, something new to elevate or to strengthen, and as a result of that, we have been able to achieve great things. Because, you know, as a governor, your role is just to inspire, to motivate.
Yes.
But the presidents are really the foot soldiers.
Yes.
They're the ones who are on the ground. They're the ones who make things happen.
Yeah.
And wherever they embraced the magic of Rotary, we have seen magic.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, one of the most silliest thing I think I did last year was to translate this in Luganda. And,
and what did you
and I remember we were doing the show at the district conference and we said, Amanyi go bufusa.
There's something shady about it. It makes it appear like
magic is
like you're fake.
You know, we tried. I tried to look for the word magic in Luganda, being my mother tongue, and just so that's why I said that was one of the funniest things that I did in last year.
Yes.
But you have indeed created magic, and I want to dive a little deeper. You've got a wonderful club. Kampala Nalia is doing wonderfully, and your president is so lovely. And this year's celebration of women in Rotary was additionally one of the most brilliant. I didn't attend, but I saw the social media coverage, which was really wonderful. We've also seen so much that the other presidents have done. Would you say there's a project that has been outstanding for you, that has gone far and beyond? And I'm not telling you to choose your club, your best club here, but there's been those clubs that, not clubs per se, that you can talk about projects that you have seen and you've said, you know, when I saw this blind girl, when I did this, I think those were some of the euphoric experiences that I had that will never go away for me. Yeah.
Oh, there've been many. There've really been many projects that I have come across in this Rotary year that were amazing. And I think one of the projects that I won't certainly forget was a project that's being implemented by the Rotary Club of Arua and Rotary Club of Yumbe.
Wonderful.
And it's a wash project, mostly focusing on sanitation and construction of latrines. Now that club, the Rotary Club of Yumbe, is a very small club.
Yes, it
mostly
is.
Women.
Started recently, yes.
With just 12 members.
Yes.
But they have changed a whole community.
That's
you know, they have this global grant, which has enabled them to support the construction of latrines in homes. And to change the hygiene practices in a whole community.
Wow.
And the way they have done it has been very simple. It's been very practical. They fund everything, but the beneficiaries are involved in making these sun, you know, the sort of like the whole cement structure for a latrine.
Okay.
So they have one place where people come and they're taught, and everyone does their own and then takes it home, and then they support you with the rest of the installation of it.
Wonderful.
And I thought that that was amazing.
Wonderful.
That 12 women can change
An entire community.
an entire community.
Now, on top of doing a wonderful job, Governor, there's always, the rose has the thorn.
Yeah.
There's always that part that you're like, okay, I would have wanted this to be better than it is. What is that thing that you would want to be improved going forward? What is it that you did not like about this year?
While it is a blessing for our district that we have so many clubs, we have 131 clubs. The challenge comes for the governor when you have to visit
all of them,
130 clubs. In addition to visiting 130 clubs, each of those clubs has projects. So you must visit their projects. Then you have board meetings, and then you have the club assembly. So I found that literally every day of the week is taken up to be able to be able to cover that, to be able to visit clubs and also attend other activities. I found that there's very little time for yourself.
Yeah.
There is no weekend.
No.
There's really no break.
Yeah.
And so you get on with it. The beauty of it is it's 1 year, so you remind yourself that
to be overseen.
This is 1 year.
Yeah.
But otherwise it is exhausting.
Yes.
Now it gets worse when sometimes your schedule and that of clubs cannot reconcile.
Yeah.
So sometimes you find that you are along a certain route and you would have wished that you do all the clubs on that route, and then some of those clubs are not ready. And so it means you come back, and then at another point you still have to go back. And especially for clubs outside Kampala, because Kampala is easy, but outside Kampala it means that you have to put in another day of travel and
expenses
a day for returning, and yeah, so that scheduling of the visits, I think for me was not just the visits, but all the other activities together was sometimes tough. Yeah.
Let's do better, Rotarians. Let's make it easier for the governor.
No, I think actually the way to go to make it easier for the governors is something that will probably come in a few years. It has to be redistricting to make the district a bit smaller.
Okay.
Because I'm now going to hand over even more clubs to the incoming governor.
Yeah.
So the incoming governor will have even less time than I did.
Than you did.
And he probably will hand over more clubs to the next governor. So you can imagine, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
So when you say it that way, I get to understand the redistricting.
Yeah.
And I probably think a lot of clubs, a lot of Rotarians need to understand why redistricting is important.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons.
Yeah. So in the coming Rotary year, we're going to focus a lot on the internal governance processes. We're going to focus a lot on the club experience in our clubs. And as we talk about sustainability, we cannot run away from the environment. And so we are going to address the environment as a cross-cutting issue in everything that we do. It is an obligation for us. And as we celebrate our DISCON 100, it will be our centennial year. The districts 9212, 9213, and 9214 have agreed that at the end of our Rotary year, and as we celebrate the DISCON in April 2025, the main thing that we will be celebrating is what we have done for the environment.
At the district conference last year, you mentioned so many things that you were going to do. And I remember us, most of us, like I said, I joked about the magic of Rotary. The theme, if I translate it in Obufusa, we were going to do magic. We were going to do magic this year. And I mean, 12 people managing and changing an entire village is magic. For me, that's magic. Did you achieve your targets this year?
One of the things that we've done this year, and this is something we've done collectively, District 9212, 9213, and 9214, we agreed that as we will be celebrating 100 years of district conferences, we needed to come up with a common project. And so we decided that we would focus on the environment. In light of climate change and everything that we have seen lately, I believe there's nobody who doubts climate change anymore after what we've been through the past few weeks. And so one of the things that we have done this Rotary year is conservation, promoting environmental protection. And in my district, I have encouraged clubs to integrate the environment in whatever it is that they do. And for all our clubs, that has involved tree planting. And so wherever I have been, I have planted trees. I have planted trees.
Which is wonderful.
I can't even count how many trees I have planted, but we have planted trees. But other clubs have also gone on to do other things that, you know, conservation, whether through solar, waste management, and all sorts of things. And so that has been wonderful. We have formed partnerships as well with various organizations in our tree planting. And the list is long. If I started to list them, I'm likely to forget a few. But there have been many partners, from the banks to other private sector organizations, to the National Forest Authority, to government in ministries. You know, we have formed partnerships that have either given us seedlings or have funded planting or have given us land. You know, the Uganda Kingdom, we've partnered with ABSA. You know, they've been different partners with whom we are working on this tree planting. And I believe that when we come together and do this, we will have greater impact. But another thing within that project, perhaps, so that intervention that has been exciting, is we've mostly focused on planting trees in schools. With a view of nurturing environment stewards. Because we believe that when we engage children at an early age and get them to understand the importance of protecting the environment, the importance of planting trees, they'll be the ones to safeguard the environment. So that has been exciting. Like I said, we've collected over $740,000 US. Again, it's a target of 700. So we've had revised our target upwards. And we hope that we will be able to probably go to 800 or even more by the end of the Rotary year. But in addition to that, one of our targets was to ensure that all our clubs are all giving. And as I speak now, 121 Rotary clubs have all given to the Rotary Foundation. So we only have 10 clubs that haven't given. 10? 10.
Give now.
In the next 3 months, I'm sure that they're going to give. So our next target is to ensure now that all the members in those clubs have given. So about 30% of the clubs have achieved that already. Whereby they have all their members giving. It's now the other 60% that we have to work and ensure that everybody gives something. And when everybody gives something, we've also put a minimum. We may not achieve it 100% that everyone gives a minimum of $25, but we will get close. Our effort is to get close.
Wonderful. And that's the 25 by 25. A wonderful model created by an M&E person, definitely. Because when I first learned, I realized that's very clever.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you've hit your targets.
Yeah.
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 Now, the year is ending, 3 months to go. You've done a wonderful job, girl. You have done a wonderful job, Governor. You are, I would say, yes, we have Nalongo, who led us to redistricting. You are officially that governor that we've seen implement. And Nalongo had COVID.
Yes.
We've seen in action, and we can say we can have another woman district governor in 9213. And you've achieved your targets. You said you were going to hit a certain number. We are sure you're going to hit that number.
Yeah.
What is that message you want to give to the incoming governor?
Okay. So my message to the incoming district governor is that as you go along during your tour of duty, you're going to find many people. You're going to find people that are very different in temperament. Sometimes you will also come across very many disappointments. But in order to withstand the disappointments that you will come across, it is important to always look for the good in every situation. Even when you go to a club that is not performing, it helps to find the one thing that they're doing well and use that to encourage them to do better. And you will be able to gain more traction with that because every time that you affirm people, it motivates them to be better.
Wonderful advice. Each is an individual, I could say, for any plate that is formed.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Governor, tomorrow we drive to Ginger. We go to the Nile. We go to the Nile tomorrow, viewers. We shall be in Ginger tomorrow, and you will be able to see all the live action as she hands over this beautiful chain. What do we have in Ginger? And for you, Rotarian, who is watching us right now, driving to Ginger right now, or still in your house, do come to Ginger. Unfortunately, I think the slots are closed. So I don't know what you'll do.
Yes, it is.
But we're going to Ginger tomorrow.
Yeah.
What is that message you have for the Rotarians that are watching us in their hotel rooms right now tonight in Ginger, Tuesday night right now? But what is that message you have for those in their hotel rooms watching us from Ginger or in their homes ready to go to Ginger?
Yeah.
What do you have set for Ginger?
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Ginger, we are planning a conference that brings together learning, fun, networking, you know, all the things that make Rotary an incredible place to be. And so while there, we have put together a program that may be a little bit different from what we normally have. We are working with partners, and one of the big partners that we're working with is Kira Motors.
Okay.
Who's going to be our e-mobility partner.
Wow.
And so we're going to have an off-site. We're going to have off-site. I don't want to call it an excursion, but it will be part of the conference. Will be off-site. And I think that will be interesting because it will have a practical element of seeing and then listening.
Yes.
And it's not listening for the sake of listening, but again, looking at what the opportunities are out there in terms of innovation and where Rotarians can plug in terms of, you know, environmental sustainability. But the conference also has sessions that are focusing on enhancing Rotarians' well-being, their own personal skills, their leadership skills. And so we also have that.
Yeah.
And then in between there, we will also be celebrating our work as Rotarians, celebrating the clubs, what they've been able to achieve, are the projects that have made impact and all that. And the evenings obviously are a fun time to relax. We have diverse entertainment. Each evening is different from the previous one.
Yes.
And so we hope that it will be a very enjoyable conference. The other factor that is important to remember is we didn't go to Ginger just for just.
Yeah.
We also went to Ginger to enable people to tour.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, we have industry. So this conference will promote industrial tours. But we also have the adrenaline sports and all sorts of exciting things to do in Ginger.
Yes.
And we hope that Rotarians are going to partake of that. And so we're keeping all the afternoons free so that people can enjoy the environment in which they're in and all the various things that it has to offer.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So for you who is still in your house and you paid for the district conference,
Yeah.
do join us in Ginger tomorrow. We start tomorrow with the wonderful vintage night.
Yeah.
You do not want to miss it. Join us tomorrow in Ginger.
So I want to thank the team that has put together this district conference. They have worked tirelessly over the last 1.5 years to put this together. And I believe that we will have an enjoyable time while we're here. But I also want to thank all the district officials. I want to thank the assistant governors. I want to thank the club presidents with whom we have worked very, very closely. There'd be no reason to be in Ginger if we weren't here to celebrate. And so today we are here to celebrate your efforts and everything that you have put in over the last 9 months. At an individual level, I want to thank my fellow governors who have supported me, who have mentored me, who have guided me in so many ways and enabled me to achieve, together with my team, what we've been able to achieve. I want to thank, in a very, very special way, the Rotary Club of Kampala Nalia. I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't because of that club and if they hadn't nominated me. So I want to thank the club for nurturing me, but for the confidence that they've had in me that enabled them to nominate me as a governor. And I hope that I have not disappointed. Finally, I want to thank my friends, most of whom have not seen me this year, but I know that they're out there in the back supporting me in different ways. Many of them have made contributions, both material and financial, towards this conference. And of course, our partners. There are many partner organizations that have supported us in organizing this district conference. And there's so many people. If I started to list them, it would be incredible. But there's so many people, Rotarians and non-Rotarians, who have contributed towards the success of this district conference. And I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you for your contributions. To my magic presidents, thank you for doing the magic. Without you, we would not be here. So I really want to thank you for your warmth, for your love, for the support that you have shown. It has been overwhelming sometimes, but it has been wonderful. And without you, I don't know what it would have been like. So I want to thank you. And finally, to my family, and especially to my children, thank you for always loving me, whether I'm around or not. I always know that I have your love and your support. My parents, always praying for me, always encouraging me, always wishing me well, and my siblings. I thank you all, and I love you all.
Did you just experience magic? Did you feel her? communicate to you. That's what we felt the entire year, as Nkutu was our guide and our steward this year as district governor. Thank you, Magic Presidents, for a wonderful job. The 25 by 25 scheme is a beautiful idea, and like the wonderful, intelligent human being she is, must have, crafted that beautiful idea, and it has earned us a collection so far of $740,000, and she hopes that it will go to 800,000 and more. Thank you very much, Rotarians, for contributing this money to the Rotary Foundation. To the 600 Rotarians that have joined Rotary so far, welcome to this beautiful family of ours. We embrace peace, love, and we want you to enjoy as much as possible. To those of you who have come to Ginger and managed to enjoy the district conference or are going to enjoy the district conference, do make sure that you go for those excursions and business meetings and networking. For me, Nkutu has been a beacon of light this year. And as a woman leader, she has led, and like any other mother, she has managed to reproduce a lot of things. The plant, your balance, the green that she has brought to us. She said earlier in the interview, she has planted so many trees, she cannot put a number to it. No mother would have done any less. She has planted so many trees and ensured that there are stewards that will carry this forward. Those children in the different schools that these trees have been planted will make sure they look after these trees. Nothing would be better than that, than look after our environment. And for those of you who experienced the heat rush earlier 2 months ago, you must understand that this is something that we must all do. And for the district governor, Nkutu, we thank you. We thank you very much for your leadership, for your love, for the wonderful stewardship and excellent and brilliant woman you've been throughout this year. And as a Rotarian, you are outstanding. Thank you very much for leading this district into what we are. And we know that wherever you're going to serve after this experience of being a district governor, we'll be very happy to have you. And at RI level, I'm sure they will welcome you with open arms. For now, it's either district zone 22 or RI level where you will serve. It's been a wonderful year for us having you, and to your children and family, thank you for allowing us some time with her as she serves in Rotary. To those that have served Nkutu's year as district governor and made sure she succeeds as she has, thank you very much for allowing her to lead. This has been the profile of the district governor of 2024-2025, Nkutu. Thank you very much. This has been the Rotary Moment Show.